The Secrets of Doctor Who is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous supporters. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/donate. You're listening to The Secrets of Doctor Who, episode 138.
One day, I shall come back.
That's it. I've been renewed.
As when a Time Lord's body wears out, he regenerates.
I'm a Time Lord. I'm not a human being. I walk in eternity.
Bravehearty.
Change, my dear, and it seems at a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding.
Position this.
Wearing a bit thin.
Fantastic.
I am Scottish. I can complain about things.
Should be fine.
Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and you're listening to The Secrets of Doctor Who, where we discuss everything about the hit BBC series, Doctor Who, and today we're discussing The Poison Sky. It's the second episode in the two-part that began last time with the Sontaran Stratagem. I was going to say the Sonar Stratagem. The Sontaran Stratagem. Joining me today on the panel are Father Corey Stika. Hi, Father Corey.
How's it going, Dom?
Very well. And Jimmy Aiken. Hi, Jimmy.
Howdy, Dom.
So, folks, we're not going to go into the whole thing. We had a power outage before we started recording. I want to get this recorded now before we lose power again or something else goes wrong. So let's get into the episode. Before I do, though, I want to say, as I like to remind you to please go to the Secrets of Doctor Who Facebook page, facebook.com/Secrets of Doctor Who. Like the page, like the posts about the episodes, retweet them on Twitter at SQPN, and leave us comments. All of that really helps get other people to, it starts a conversation, gives some of your feedback for us to include in the show, and lets other people know about the show. So we really do appreciate that. All right, so let's get into talking about The Poison Sky. Last time on Doctor Who, the Sontarans had launched this, this device. They had this device that's installed in all the cars, 400 million cars in the world, so half of the cars in the world, that creates some type of pollution. That's the how we were left. We don't know exactly what it was for, but it creates this gas.
It was poisoning the sky, hence the title of the episode, The Poison Sky.
The Poison Sky. So I have to start off by saying that I saw a note somewhere that said that this episode apparently leaves a loose end about the Sontaran defeat that is later on picked up by the Sarah Jane Adventures. Do you know anything about that? I didn't see an explanation of what it was, but
no, I haven't. It shouldn't be too hard to find, but I'm not familiar with that off the top of my head.
Okay, it's something about the last Sontaran, so maybe it's one of the Sontarans get left behind.
Yeah, there was one of them that might have been on Earth when the ship was blown up and wasn't captured or killed by a unit.
Okay, so
that's what I wonder.
Yeah, that's probably true. They were all running around that factory. So let's get into it. The other kind of note that was in this was that Billie Piper makes a brief cameo, it said, as Rose on a TARDIS view screen, but I didn't see that.
I did.
Yeah, I saw it as well. Yeah. Donna was in the TARDIS, and the Doctor was talking to the Sontarans from UNIT, and she was watching, and just as it flipped on, it quickly flashes her. Donna never saw it because she was around the console. But then the screen turned on. You saw Rose for just the briefest of seconds, and then the Doctor was there, and she runs around to see the screen.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was apparently enough to give Billie Piper fourth billing in the credits.
That works.
I don't know if you noticed that.
Well, nice work if you can get it.
And she probably filmed it as part of one of her other scenes in one of the other episodes. Yeah. So it was on the lot for like one day.
Well, or actually, I think they just took it from another episode. Like they lifted a screenshot from another episode. But also, this is the first time that Donna, Martha, and Rose are all in the same episode together.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the first time that all three actresses were all in the same episodes together, because Freema Agyeman, she was in Army of Ghosts and Doomsday, which both Donna and Rose were in as well.
Right.
That's right.
But
That's
different
She
character.
played her cousin. Yeah, she played a different character. But so
her cousin.
Yeah, her cousin that later on was backfilled.
Identical cousins all the way. Patty Duke Show, folks, if you don't know what that's a reference to.
So we pick up this episode with the doctor trying to get Wilf out of Donna's mom's car. Using the trying to change
Sonic.
the Sonic, and you rewire it, and Donna's mom comes out
with an axe.
Sylvia with an axe,
Yeah.
like she's got the straight on. Now I know where Donna gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair,
gets-
as a car geek, I cringed because as far as I know, Britain also uses safety glass on their windshields, and you'll put an axe through the windshield, but you won't shatter the windshield with an axe.
Right, that's true.
They have those tools here in America that are designed to shatter the windshield. Like let's say you drive off a bridge and you're underwater and the water pressure is keeping the door closed. There are these little things you can have on your keychain and just smack the window with it. And it's supposed to shatter the whole thing.
Well, it's usually the side windows.
Yeah.
Are not safety glass, but the front windows usually they're two panes of glass with plastic, basically like Saran wrap is basically what it is, and that will keep the windshield. That's why when you see an accident where the windshield comes out, it's broken up, but it all comes out in one piece, and that's by design.
Just pops out.
As a car guy, I'm just going like it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, they should have had her shatter the passenger side window.
Exactly.
But, good enough. That was very dramatic.
I liked Mom getting to do something constructive.
Yeah.
Because they really make her unlikable, and they're trying to straddle a fence with her. She's not totally unlikable, but she is largely unlikable.
Exactly.
And I don't like that trope of the nasty parent in Doctor Who. And so I like seeing Mom get to do something constructive, even if it's actually technically destructive of a car window.
She has Donna's worst tendencies, worst personality traits without the redeeming qualities
from Wilf.
That's what they've done, right?
Meanwhile, Wilf is nowhere near as effectual as either. So Wilf and Donna are nice. Donna and Mom are effectual.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's right. And Donna gets the best of both. So back at Atmos, the unit soldiers are only now just getting their gas masks on. That's good going, guys.
Yep.
And then they have this map in the control bunker, the tractor trailer with the control room in it, that shows the Atmos smog growing worldwide. I love that little graphic that shows it just expanding from all these locations in real time, apparently.
And once again, Montana was one of the last places to get the dot, so
yes,
I was happy about that.
And then Clone Martha uses her security clearance to access the NATO defense codes, and that's a key plot point right there.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Luke Radigan is freaking out over going to war, and freaking out in the like, I'm so excited that we're going to war sort of way.
Right.
Bizarre.
By the way, something that occurred to me, Luke Radigan has an American accent. And it got me to thinking, especially in New Who, when is the last time anyone with an identifiably American accent played a clear good guy on this show?
Well,
I mean,
it was last season in the South, riding the bus. What's her name?
Rosa Parks.
Rosa Parks. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna put Rosa Parks in a special category because that's a historical thing that was done for very other reasons. But if you look at New Who in general,
every fictional
American character that we've seen, and I'm not talking about an episode set in America, but when Americans come to England to be on the show as characters, I can't think of a good one. I mean, we have over militaristic generals. We have
the only one I could think of is
boy geniuses
is Captain Jack, but he's not a bad guy, but he's not exactly a good guy either. He's very fluid in that, shall we say?
Yeah, he's also not exactly an American. He's from the Boshan province in the 41st century.
But he's got an American accent.
He does have an American accent. So,
the actor is, but I don't know if people realize that, but he actually is from like Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a good point though, Jimmy. That like very often when an American, American shows up. Although, vice versa. There are a lot of American TV shows where the only guys with British accents are bad guys with evil plans. So, or Nazis, which,
Yeah.
Because we know the Nazis all spoke with British accents from all of our World War II movies. So Martha Clone hears the doctor arriving in the bunker and in the command trailer and covers her tracks by conveying the message that he gave her about the Sontarans belatedly.
Right. Code red Sontarans.
Which is a very clever bit of subterfuge, because she didn't tell Colonel Mace because she didn't want him to know about the Sontarans. But now that the cat's out of the bag, she can say, "Oh, I told him like you asked me to," without that not being true. So I thought that was clever.
I also have a note here that General Stahl, the leader of the Sontarans, and I forget if he says this to the Martha Clone or who he says it to, but I have a note of him saying, "Good work for a female." And I'm going, what's with the misogyny from the alien race that reproduces by cloning and doesn't even have gender?
Right.
Well, they've talked. There was last episode they had issues about men versus men are stronger and braver and better warriors.
You're weak like a woman or
are
something.
Weaker. And all that.
Yeah, but
that is interesting.
Last time I could kind of think, okay, he's made the effort to learn about the difference between the human sexes. But here it's like, what is this good work from? I mean, have you been like, was it a bunch of misogynists that you were getting your education in the sexes from? I mean,
probably Ratigan, which would mean yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Although the other way to look at it is the writer had an axe to grind, and didn't want to let the facts about the Sontarans, as already established, get in the way of it. Meanwhile, so the doctor gives Donna his her TARDIS key. That's a special moment for a companion to get their own key to the TARDIS, and he wants to get all sentimental about it. And she's all grounded, and she's like, "Let's get all mushy after the war is over."
Mm-hmm.
What I like that about Donna.
One thing I do like about the New Who is the TARDIS key looks like your regular old house key. It looks like a key you'll have on your, because there were some points in Classic Who where it looked like a little medallion or medal or something like that. It looked so completely different from any other key you've ever seen.
Didn't look like a key. Yeah. So Martha has the unit zombie soldiers transport the TARDIS up to the Sontaran ship, so they steal it from the doctor.
With Donna on board, unbeknownst to them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But at this point, the doctor already suspects that the Martha clone, there's something wrong there. That's not the real Martha, or something's wrong with her. He notices she hasn't contacted her family to warn them about the gas. Right. So he doesn't tell her that Donna was on the TARDIS when it got transported away. And when they leave the bunker, he doesn't say allons-y. He says avanti. So he says in Italian instead of French. Mm-hmm. I think as a way to kind of
test the
check
clone
to see if she's paying attention, maybe. I like avanti better than allons-y. I think that should have been his.
I don't know why someone named Bettinelli would have that preference.
I don't know. Anyway, let's avanti on to the next thing. So the gas, it turns out, isn't lethal until it reaches 80% density. So now we have our countdown.
And this is the typical sci-fi bright line problem where until you cross the bright line, everything is fine. Yeah. It's not like people with lung problems start dying at 40%, even if most people's are okay until 80%. It's nobody at all dies until we hit the bright line of 80%.
Well, it's easier to say it's 80% versus, at about 42% people with impaired lung functions are going to have issues, and about 65% this is going to happen. That takes too long in a script.
Or even just being vague about it. Like when this gets to a certain density, people are not going to be able to breathe.
But then you got to have the countdown.
Or just say that.
But that way you can have the big countdown on the big screen that's showing the percentage, which I'm surprised they actually didn't do in this episode. They just rattled it off every once in a while.
It's at 79%. We have 1% left before everybody dies. I'm surprised they didn't do that either.
Or worse yet, 79.9%, and the doctor solves the problem. And everybody's fine. No adverse effects.
No adverse effects. Everyone's okay. So the doctor, at this point, they're opening communications with the Sontarans, and Mace calls them, Colonel Mace calls them trolls, and the doctor says, "Oh, nice diplomacy," and then turns around to make short jokes. Like, hypocrite. What are you doing?
One thing I did like though is you know, the colonel was going to say, well, you can't speak for Earth, and Doctor's like, I'm not speaking for Earth. You know.
Yeah. So this was a thing that that I didn't like about this whole sequence, where you know, the colonel is telling Doctor, you don't have the authority to speak on behalf of Earth, and the Doctor says, I earned it a long time ago.
Right.
And it's okay, we're seeing a little flash of the Time Lord Victorious here.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
getting a little big for your britches, Buster.
Right. Yeah, it does come across a little that whole and maybe that's intentional. Maybe we're heading toward that Water of Mars episode where we're going to see it all backfire on him. I mean, maybe they're intentionally trying to build that up, but yeah, it's
well, I think they have been kind of working towards that for a while. But yeah, we're starting to see more of it. You're right about that, though.
But on the other hand, it would have been nice after that, and that he learned his lesson and stopped doing it during Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi era. But you know, I
like we get a reference in this sequence to the war with the Rutans, because that's a thing that's been, and the Doctor tells us it's been going on for 50,000 years. It's apparently a really long, inconclusive war. I mean, you may think the Iraq situation is endless, but that's nothing compared to the Sontaran Rutan War. One of the nice things here on Secrets of Doctor Who is we just recently we've already reviewed a few Sontaran episodes, but we recently reviewed the horror at Fang Rock, where we got to see the Rutans and how different they are than typical rubber-suited aliens on Doctor Who, because they're like green glowing jellyfish,
rubber jellyfish.
It makes you wonder how bad the Sontarans are at the execution of war, because the Rutan, I mean, just build a bunch of stairs, they can't get to you
unless they're in their transformed state where they look like a human.
Take the human form.
Yes, that's true. Yes, we covered that in that episode, so definitely check that one out. That was actually a good episode of Doctor Who. The
also in this sequence, while the Doctor is talking to General Stahl shows him he's got the TARDIS, and the Doctor says, "Oh, what a noble spoil of war to get," using the wake word for Donna Noble. So she perks up, and he then says, as they say in Latin, Donna nobis pacem. And they don't translate that for the viewer, which is interesting. Donna nobis pacem means give us peace. But since he's got the Donna in there immediately after the noble spoil, he lets Donna know he's given her a message, and apparently it's going to involve peace, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting that he's trying to convey to her to use the phone, but she doesn't know who do I call? What number am I supposed to call? And I did like that. The Donna nobis pacem, you know, it's from the Mass. Is it in the Anglican?
It's at the conclusion of the
Agnus Dei
of the Agnus Dei, the Lamb of God. Who it's at the conclusion of that.
No, I get that. Yeah. But is it in the Anglican?
I would assume it is, because a lot of it came from the Latin, at least the traditional Anglican liturgy.
Yeah, at the High Church Anglican. Maybe someone could let us know.
I believe it is in the Anglican liturgy. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've looked at kind of the traditional Anglican liturgy, but I believe it is.
So meanwhile, Luke Radigan is as his students are aghast at what they see going on in London, he reveals his master plan to his students to create a brand new world for a new human race, and the students are not impressed, and they want to go find their families. So he threatens them with a gun, and they're like, "How are we going to create this new human race? We'll repopulate it," he says, and the girl's like, "You nerd! I would never repopulate the world."
He's designed a breeding program on a spreadsheet or something. It's like, no, thank you.
And I'm sure he's got the multiple of it.
There was like really bad nerd burn in that scene.
And what
I did it all for you.
What's interesting here is, we were wondering, he was so into this Sontaran thing in the last episode, and he's also short like the Sontarans, and he's doing the Sontar Ha war chant. And we were wondering, is he like, or I was at least wondering, is he like a Sontaran or something in human form? Because he could be like a Martha clone. And apparently, no, he's just crazy.
He's just crazy, and he's an easy dupe for the Sontarans, as we see in the next scene.
And I like it when it finally gets pointed out. One of the guys he's been trying to convince, who for a second looks like he might be going along with this, turns to Luke and says, "You're just sick."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "I'm clever." And he's talking about how more clever he is than anybody else.
As he's having a temper tantrum. And this is where I had a little cognitive dissonance between his American accent and the British dialogue they've written for him, because Americans do not talk about people being clever the same way that British people talk about people being clever. An American would not, who's having this kind of temper tantrum, would not be saying things like, "I'm clever." They would be saying things like, "I'm smart," or "I'm brilliant," or something like, or "I'm a genius," but not "I'm clever."
Yeah, I'm cleverer than everyone. Do you hear me?
I'm smarter. That's how an American would do it. Yeah.
But it's interesting that his motivation, or the professed motivation, is, "I did it for you because, we're all nerds and we're all laughed at by everyone else, and so we're trying, this is the triumph of the nerds."
Well, I think the actual Revenge of the Nerds movie series probably was a little healthier than what this guy's doing, despite all the family unfriendly stuff in it.
Yeah.
Yes. So then we have TV news reports that, as they sometimes do, of people are walking cross country to get away from cities. On the East Coast, people are getting into boats in the Atlantic.
I noticed, and they had they gave the line to the British newscaster about it. Scenes reminiscent of Dunkirk as Americans go out into the Atlantic on boats. I'm going,
that's a little cringy. Yeah,
this is a little cringy.
Well, yeah. I just thought it was a little bit over the top, like the biblical plagues, the end of days, cats and dogs living in sin. I mean, it was just a little over the top the way they did this. And again, it's this every time the Doctor runs up against somebody, it has to be this world-ending potential. I mean, how many times have we done this with just the 10th Doctor? We had the Army of Ghosts and the war at Canary Wharf, and we had what was the other one? Well, we had
with the fancy
year that never was,
crash and kill everyone on Earth, and
right. Yeah, we had the Year of Hell. We had all these loses its punch if you overdo it, and I think there is that case again. So Donna calls home, and Sylvia goes on to Donna. All those things they said about pollution and ozone and carbon, they're really happening, aren't they? And I'm like, well, no, they're not. This is the Sontarans.
This is something very, very different.
Their special baby food gas.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Why are you? And Donna's like, yes, it is. We'll fix it. It's like, no, it's not. It has nothing to do with climate change. It's like the writer just had decided they wanted to write a climate change story like this, not climate change per se necessarily, but pollution, air pollution story, and forgot that it was a science fiction story about aliens doing something and not really about air pollution. That was weird.
In fairness, Sylvia could perceive it as, this is the capstone of all the air pollution hype I've been hearing from the media. That's really coming true, because she doesn't know. And in fact, at this point, even the Doctor doesn't know that this is the secret Sontaran baby formula gas.
Right. Not yet. But it's clearly not, ozone and carbon,
Yeah, he knows there's something else in there.
Yeah.
But Sylvia doesn't.
She doesn't, but it felt like, well, she did kind of know something that that it was something different, but okay. It just felt like it was a little, that the writer got a little lost in the agenda.
It's a little on the nose.
Yeah. So, the other thing I was thinking was, at this point, don't the Atmos devices require the car's engines to be running?
Apparently not. Apparently they've got battery power.
I was going to say, what about siphoning out all the gasoline from the tanks and waiting for the engines to run dry? And then the cars...
There's that whole thing about a temporal pocket or something like that, some wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey explanation. And,
so the cars weren't generating it. The devices were pulling it out of.
It was basically being like a catalytic
pocket
converter that would change from the gases from the car, store them into this gas and then expel it.
That's good headcanon, Father. I don't think they
That's-
actually
well,
said
that's-
any of that.
Last episode, they talked about it having
They
the
did
pocket.
talk about the pocket, yeah, and that's where
They
it's
did.
storing the gas
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah, they're pulling the gas out of something, but
Yeah.
So it's at this point that the Doctor notices that there's an extra element in the gas, and surmises that the primary purpose of this is not to just to kill off everybody on the planet, because that's been bugging him. The Sontarans, they're militarily more powerful than us. They can just blast us into next week. Oh, so what's the deal? And so he surmises they need the planet for something, and the gas is in there to advance the plan, which we find out is the clone baby gas.
Yeah, they're going to turn the Earth into a hatchery.
Yes, and then we're told by UNIT that nuclear forces are ready to launch, including India, Pakistan, and North Korea, but not Russia or Israel. So two countries we know have nuclear missiles, but India, Pakistan, and North Korea apparently have nuclear missiles that they're ready to launch, along with China and the U.S. and France and Britain. I thought that was fun. But they can't launch because Martha's clone is sabotaging them. They can't.
I love how she's got this like dialogue box that pops up on her phone of launch and don't launch, and she keeps hitting the don't launch every few minutes.
I want that app. So this is 2008, so pre-smartphone. This has got to be like some Palm Pilot or at best
PDA,
phone.
kind of your basic PDA type.
Yeah, Palm Trio maybe. But very basic app. So she's got this app on her phone, and let's hope it's not as unreliable as Palm Trios used to be, because those used to crash all the time. Can you imagine trying to press the button and the phone crashes?
Yeah.
Oops.
Did it go through? Did it not? Did it send the wrong signal? I don't know.
Yeah, if you're going to have a dead man switch, you really want the dead man switch to be reliable.
Exactly. So then we have Colonel Mace, a scene of Colonel Mace giving a pep talk to the soldiers to engage the Sontarans despite knowing their guns would be useless. And at this point, the Doctor wishes he had the Brigadier there, Brigadier Alistair
Lethbridge Stewart.
Lethbridge Stewart, that's right. And and then Mace says that Sir Alistair is actually still alive at this point, but he's stranded in Peru and not available. So that was nice to know that Sir Alistair was still, and he's Sir Alistair.
Actually, I did like that conversation. I did like that conversation too, where the Doctor says, for the first time, no offense to the Colonel, and the Colonel said, none taken. He's a great man.
Yeah, yeah. I like that acknowledgement of the character.
So at this point, the Sontarans are storming the factory and killing lots of people.
Yep.
And they even walk past. We see the guy who's in charge. I forget the name. It's not Stahl, but the guy who's in charge of the ground forces, I believe, walking past the two conditioned unit soldiers that are on the Sontaran side. And they're like, reporting for duty, sir. And he just shoots them.
Yeah.
And kills them. And we don't see the laser blast impact them. It's off screen, but it's clear that he just killed two humans that are on his side.
Yep.
Right.
And then
that shows like the ruthlessness of them, I guess. That was it doesn't seem very honorable or, forthright as a warrior.
Well, but that's the thing is they're not like Klingons where honor is above everything. They just battle, winning the battle, killing, destroying.
Right.
That's what Sontarans are about.
But they do have this glory rhetoric that they use about how, like, I'm sorry that I'm going to have to capture you because death would be more honorable.
And Stahl talks about honor. That's a dishonorable way of fighting and that sort of thing, too. So, I mean, again, they're not monolith. They could have different personalities and different interests, and some soldiers are more honorable than others, that sort of thing.
Or maybe that's, even though it totally didn't come across to the viewer, maybe that's what this ground commander thought he was doing, was now that they've been controlled, that's deprived them of honor, so he's giving them back their honor by killing them.
Yeah.
Could be.
So at this point, Luke realizes that the Sontarans were betraying him. They were never going to give him his little world where he could restart the human race.
Yeah.
And
he realizes that because they tell him explicitly they were never going to do this.
They were target practice.
Right. Yes, and he dissolves into tears, which was kind of pathetic. It was a little uncomfortable to watch. the doctor calls Donna on the TARDIS and has to convince her to leave the TARDIS. And this is I think this is an effective scene because she's afraid. She's afraid for her life. And he has to convince her that you're the only hope. You have the ability. You can open that door and attack the Sontaran by, whacking him on the probic port on the back of his neck with the rubber mallet. It's
So
apparently
stupid,
a key part
but
of the
okay.
instrument panel. But yeah.
It's as bad as having a ring that doesn't do yellow or a screwdriver that doesn't do wood. Or wait a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah. So he convinces her to go out. She has to go look for something in another room. What was it she was looking for?
The teleport
device.
controls.
It's the control for the transmats.
Oh, right. She has to give him back the control.
Basically, the circuit breakers.
We do get a scene of the doctor with Colonel Mace. They're all with the soldiers. They're all putting on gas masks, and the doctor turns to Mace and says, "Are you my mummy?" Which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, little callback there.
Yep.
Yeah, I cannot help but see gas masks anywhere and always say, "Are you my mummy?" So that's just good writing.
By the way, one thing before we move on from Donna having to conquer her fear and go out and knock out the Sontaran, I liked how I like the acting in this because Donna can be very boisterous and have lots of swagger. In fact, that for me ruins one of the climactic scene of Donna's arc is how much swagger she's putting on. Episodes and episodes down the line. But here we don't have that. Here she's coming across as genuinely scared, but mastering that fear. And then when she knocks out the Sontaran, just for a second in one of her lines, we get just a hint of the swagger that this has given her confidence. But then it's gone, and she's back to being scared and having to control that. And I really liked that.
No, that was very, very, very well acted. Very well acted.
Yep.
But you did have to do the Spock salute.
Yeah, I liked that.
Open the door.
It's 3 fingers for a Sontaran. You have 3 fingers. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's do the Spock salute.
So Mace makes a good speech about fighting back, and then they talk about the bullets. Remember they had the Quarterlane field that makes copper jacketed bullets expand in the barrel so they can't fire properly, and so they have steel coated ones, or so they come up with some cannon thing for why they could shoot. And he makes a good speech about fighting back, and then calls in the helicarrier, Valiant. So Shield sends its helicarrier over to
the Avengers have arrived.
Shield.
Oh wait,
yes, Avengers assemble. They blow away the smog, which I thought was good.
And that was fine. Up to this point, though, we've been having the Doctor, and this has been really one note, and it started grating on me in the writing. The Doctor is constantly harping to the Colonel about the Colonel's inability to do anything to fight the Sontarans. And the Colonel is consistently ignoring him. And this just one note, back and forth, is weak writing, and I don't like it. And I do like it when finally the Colonel brings in something he should have brought in ages ago that will let him fight the Sontarans, and Unit storms the factory and starts kicking Sontaran butt.
Yep. Right. As the Valiant shoots its Death Star laser at the Atmos factory, because it's totally a Death Star laser. The Doctor goes, "Whoa, that's brilliant!" And Mace actually kind of gives it back to him. Getting a taste for it, Doctor? No, not at all. Not me.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was, I think, maybe a little bit of acknowledgement.
It was kind of funny, though, that how easily the Sontarans fell. You'd think they would have great armor that bullets would not be able to pierce, but no, they went down pretty quick, actually, once they got bullets that could actually fire.
Stormtrooper armor, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
There is something that happens. Well, an armor that's designed for energy weapons may be ineffective against slug throwers.
Exactly.
Right. The ideal armor to protect you from laser, other than a metamaterial, would be a mirror. But you can shoot a bullet through a mirror.
Just don't tell the Rutan.
Yeah.
So the Martha Clone and the Doctor go off on their own to the basement, and She keeps stopping the nuclear launch with her cell phone, and that's where the doctor finds the real Martha, and then he tells the clone that he knew all along it was her because her pupil response and the thinning of the follicles on her left temple, and the smell.
You smell.
Yeah. Ouch. Which, that seems to be a flaw maybe in the clone thing, and maybe why didn't anybody else notice? Or maybe we're just very polite British people and we don't mention people's smell.
I assume that this is something very subtle that only the doctor can tell.
True.
Because he does identify what planet he's on by what, and where he is on the planet by how it smells.
Right. That's true.
I think this is an allusion to that, but it's I forget exactly how he says it, but it's you positively scream, "I'm a clone."
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So then Colonel Mace manages to kill Commander Score.
I love that. I love that scene. That was just kind of the commander standing up and.
Yep. Score 1 for Mace, shall we say?
Yeah.
The doctor learns from the clone Martha that the gas is, as we had talked about before, clone food. That they're converting the Earth into a clone hatchery, for replenishing the armies of the Sontarans. For some reason, they need Earth. Maybe it's closer to the front of their war, and so that makes Earth.
They don't really go into why, or maybe it's very far away from the front, so it's a safe place to breed people, or maybe only this kind of planet can be turned into a hatchery.
Right.
So,
although the Rutan do know about Earth, so that's not exactly hidden. Anyway,
but they haven't been there since 1909.
Well, that's true. It's been 110 years, or 100 years actually from this episode.
What I found interesting about this sequence is the interaction between the two Marthas, because you have Martha, real Martha, and clone Martha. And clone Martha, now that real Martha has been unplugged, is in the dying process. And she can't continue to live without being plugged into the real Martha. And so she's dying, but she's still conscious. And Martha is like, "That's me," and is totally rattled by this. And we got some nice acting on the part of Freema playing both roles, where you have her as Martha being freaked out by this, but also sympathetic to the other version of her that's dying, and also trying to get useful information out. And then from the clone's perspective, she's dying and in pain, and she's resentful of that. And but she's also sympathetic to Martha, and is trying to do her best to not give information that will help the doctor, but finally concludes that she will give the information to help Martha.
Right.
And there's nice texturing in there psychologically.
Yep. There's a nice bit of dialogue there where Martha says, "There's nothing I can do," and the clone says, "In your mind, you've got so many plans. There's so much you want to do." And Martha, I will never do tomorrow what you can do today, my mom says, because, and then the clone says, "Because you never know how long you've got, Martha Jones, all that life," and then dies. And then Martha takes back the engagement ring from the clone, taken from her. So very interesting. And maybe that's a little bit of what causes Martha's course of her life to change from here to where we see her again after this bit of adventure the doctor concludes in the next.
Yeah. I would totally disinfect that engagement ring before putting it on, though. I mean, it's got clone all over it.
Oh, it's going to smell bad. So the doctor manages to rescue Donna from the Sontaran ship, beams down the TARDIS, and then transports the three of them to the Radigan Academy, where the doctor finishes building an atmosphere converter, because when he had been there before, he saw them with all this planetary terraforming gear for what they thought they were going to be colonizing a new planet. And so the doctor says, "Well, what terraforming converts atmosphere into stuff we can breathe, so I'll just convert this one." And apparently the way it works is it shoots blasts into the gas and converts
it's like
it up
a
there.
Roman candle.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we have here we have another trope. This is our magical special effect solution.
Yep.
You just use the magical special effect to fix everything on Earth all at the same time. And so that's how you deal with a planetary threat.
Never
and he does
mind
it by burning everybody.
Yeah,
I know.
There's a global fireball. The entire atmosphere is coated in this fireball, but except on ground level, and everything's fine, and nobody's even a little bit warm.
Yeah, I did based on I counted as we watched from space it sweep over the Earth, and I calculated that blast wave that he set off in our atmosphere is traveling at about 48,000 miles per hour. The blast, any shock wave traveling through our atmosphere at 48,000 miles an hour is going to do all kinds of damage. I mean, itself is going to kill everyone.
I was going to say just the shock wave, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the smog was like everywhere. It was down at ground level. It was in houses. And if you're going to burn all that up, that's going to burn wherever it is.
Oh, it sucked it all up. The fire just sucked it up. Because they actually showed it.
Right.
And
so now we have...
It would suck up everything else, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we have blue skies and fresh air, and everything is good again. And so now we still have a Sontaran battleship in orbit. So the Doctor has decided he's not going to just destroy them. He could just blast them out of the sky. But he needs to give them a chance.
A choice.
The Doctor. He has to give them a choice.
And he knows they're not going to make the right decision, so he's planning on dying here.
Yes. And so what we have another instance, maybe a little bit of foreshadowing, of someone choosing to die in the Doctor's place.
Yeah, and Luke, before he beams up, he tells Luke to do something clever with his life. And then Luke goes to work rewiring something in the transmat pod, and Donna or Martha 1 asks him, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Something clever."
Yes, and he ends up beaming up with the device and setting it off to explode.
Yeah, actually, the Doctor's up there with the device, and Luke beams. This is why he had to rewire it, so that it wouldn't bring the device down. He rewires it so it brings just the Doctor down and substitutes him in the Doctor's place, and he catches the device and says, "Sontar, ha!" and sets it off.
Yeah. Yep. That was pretty good. And then, so after everything is done, Donna back at home with her mom and her granddad, and she has a teary goodbye with Wilf. And then they're about to say goodbye to Martha on board the TARDIS. Martha's going to say, "Oh, it was so nice spending, this little adventure with you. I'm going to go back to my life now." And the TARDIS shuts its doors and takes off on its own.
And we keep getting shots of the Christmas episode hand that's in a bubbling bottle.
Yes, that will be significant again, apparently, in the next episode, where we get to meet Mrs. Doctor Who, or daughter Doctor Who,
Miss Doctor Who,
the daughter of the Doctor is also the wife of a doctor.
Right?
Yeah,
the son-in-law of the Doctor is the Doctor.
Yeah.
Yes. His daughter is his wife, and so
and I'm my own grandpa.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that song too.
Yeah, folks, this is gonna next time we're not talking about the this is the Doctor's Daughter episode. Next time we're talking about a classic Who, but after that we're gonna have a show full of this sort of wibbly wobbly discussion.
I just want to say I'm really glad that they kept Martha around for the next episode, because the kind of the easy thing to do is let's bring back the actress for this two-parter that'll wrap up her character arc and we're done. And then to find out, and you assume going through the Sontaran strategy and the Poison Sky, that's what's happening.
Yes.
It's just a one-time bring back Martha. And then, no, we get her for another adventure. Yay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about this. Like that did Freema Agyeman, did she want to do, did she miss the job? Did she want to do 3 more episodes? It was a very interesting choice to change companions, but then to bring the old companion back again in the next season.
And I wonder if there was something contractually about, she wanted certain amount of work if she was going to come back, and it ended up being 3 episodes worth instead of just 2.
Yeah.
It could be. I assume that that because of how Russell T Davies planned ahead, that when she left initially, there were plans to bring her back, just like there were plans to bring Rose back and plans to bring Don. That's one of the things that characterizes Russell T Davies' era is he brings back companions. They get their time in the sun, but then we get these, later meetups, and it happens with all of them, even Captain Jack and everybody. Whereas then in Stephen Moffat's time, that changes, where you have Karen Gilliam saying, nope, when I'm out, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm not coming back the way they did back then. And so I think it was always, and we had the setup when Martha leaves, she takes the superphone and says, I'm going to call you someday, mister, and you better come.
Right.
So that's effectively a promise to the audience we will see Martha again. And that could have been paid off by just the Sontaran stratagem and the Poison Sky. But then we get more, which makes me happy.
Yep.
Exactly.
Okay. Any notes left on the Poison Sky from either of you on this?
Nope.
Anything left to say?
Nope.
Pretty straightforward episode. All right. So I guess let's see. I'm just double check. I don't have any all of our feedback from last time. We don't have any new feedback. So let me just finish up by thanking our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Doctor Who, including this week Maria S., John H., Edward G., Billy C., and Placide K. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Doctor Who and all the shows at StarQuest. You can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. So that's it from us. What did you think of The Poison Sky? Let us know by visiting sqpn.com or the Secrets of Doctor Who Facebook page. And like I said, leave us some feedback there or send an email to doctorwho@sqpn.com. We'll be back next time when we'll be discussing the 6th Doctor story, Mark of the Rani. Until then, I was waiting for that. Until then, Father Corey Stika, thank you for joining me and sharing the Secrets of Doctor Who.
Thank you, Dom.
And Jimmy Aiken, thank you as well.
Thanks, Dom.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Doctor Who on StarQuest. And remember, Donna Nobis Pacem.
Right. This is going to be fun.